And let me give Marco, are you with us?
Thank you so much, Virginie. I try to share my screen in order to start our speech. Hi, Massimo. How are you?
Quite well, thank you. Everything right?
Okay. Well, now you could see the screen and the title of our speech, the project management in the AI era, leading AI-powered projects. Okay, well, what a big title and a responsibility to show you something useful. Well, just to introduce me, this is me, Marco Caressa. I started my career in nuclear engineering more than 30 years ago, and then moved to information technology field, focusing mainly on innovation and digital transformation for large public and private clients. I'm passionate about project management, among the other things, and I consider project management not just a powerful skill to use in my work, but a really true mindset. Because, you know, our life is full of projects, and if you are a project manager, you are not only at a job in your work, but if you're a project manager, you are truly a project manager in all aspects of your life. And good project management is what allows us to turn ideas into reality, in my humble opinion. Now, I hand it over to Massimo to briefly introduce himself, and I changed the slide in order to see him.
Thank you, Marco. I worked in the ICT sector as an executive for many years. And now, mainly I'm an international researcher and author in project management issues. I authored or co-authored more than 50 papers and books in 5 diverse countries. In all my life, I always was focused on the centrality of people. We call them stakeholders in project management, usually, because I believe that people is central, both from the point of view of doing things and from the point of view of establishing that the project has a success or not, since they are also at the same time the beneficiaries of the project itself. I am a lover of system thinking approach, and quite recently, but very intensively, as Marco, okay, I am passionate about augmented intelligence. Okay, Marco.
Thank you so much, Massimo. Then this is the agenda of our speech. Today, here we are to talk about the future of project management in the digitalization era. My friend Massimo and I have the pleasure, but also the responsibility to kick off this meeting. And we want to discuss a topic that is more than just the future. You know, it should be considered the present. The use of artificial intelligence tools and technologies as a support for project management. We will show you some examples and practical applications of how this support can be implemented, but everything we see today will likely be obsolete in just a few weeks because of the speed at which AI tools and technologies are moving. This is the agenda of our speech. I will guide you through the first part, where we will explore the evolution of project management in the age of AI and some practical strategies for adopting AI in our projects with concrete examples and use cases. Then I will hand it over to my friend Massimo, who will talk about using AI to improve communications and stakeholder satisfactions in projects. This is the agenda of our speech. But before we begin, just a consideration. False dichotomies, stochastic parrots, or sentient beings. Well, despite the title of our speech, which refers to AI in general, we are specifically talking about the use of generative AI, the use of large language models to support project management. These tools are rapidly spreading across all domains of work and can be and really are a game changer for project managers. The reason is that according to the PMI, Project Management Institute, a project manager spends almost 90% of their time in communication, all kinds of communication, formal, informal, written, oral, synchronous, asynchronous, and so on. All of this communication happens through natural language. So the availability of systems that allow interaction in natural language and are capable of generating content in natural language becomes a huge opportunity to improve the effectiveness and efficiency of project management processes. You know, today the discussion about a wide variety of topics often suffer from polarization, okay, leading to unproductive debates and fights. The discussion about AI is no exception. On one side, we have the detractors, those who consider large language models as merely stochastic parrots. This definition was coined in 2021, if I'm right, by senior researcher Emily Bender. And it is a metaphor to say that large language models are able to generate plausible language, but do not understand the meaning of the language they process. On the other side, there are the AI enthusiast people, those who believe that large language models are almost sentient beings. In my opinion, this is not a productive way to have a discussion. I'm not interested in determining whether ChatGPT is truly intelligent or not, but rather in understanding how it can help me perform complex tasks that normally require intelligence to carry out. Some people submit to ChatGPT, as you can see in this image, logical problems for which the chatbot was not designed. Just to say, hey, you see, these aren't truly intelligent systems. The fact is that we still don't have a unique and agreed upon definition of intelligence. And these systems were not designed to imitate humans, but rather to generate natural language content in a way that can be useful to enhance some of our activities. So if I want to hammer a nail into the wall, I probably don't use a glass, but a hammer. Similarly, as a project manager, I should try use large language models and more general AI tools and technologies to solve the tasks they were designed for. So we, project managers, make generative AI happy, asking them what they do the best. Well, a new paradigm. The AI tools and technologies act as a catalyst in transforming ideas into projects. The project management itself is about transforming ideas into projects. A project is nothing but a mean to make an idea possible. Okay, but AI can quickly convert ideas into action plans. By using large language models like ChatGPT or Claude Anthropic or even other models and tools, a project manager can accelerate the project definition phase. So these tools are especially useful at the beginning of the project, in particular. Automatically generating documents, technical specifications, milestone, and I will give you some example of that just in a few minutes. But AI provides even optimized suggestions based on the analysis of historical and contextual data. AI and big data are strictly related because AI algorithms use big data, use a large amount of data in order to give us their information. So using the right data, the data we can collect about our projects in our organizations to anticipate potential risks and opportunities from the early stage of planning. And this is so much important at the early stage. So the use of these tools is quite important at the beginning of the project in order to start in well. And we can see some kind of shift from project management to AI-powered project management. Project management always used technologies, always use digital platforms and tools of various kinds. But this is really a game changer because we can move from reactive management. Reactive management is a management that in response to an event or a scenario or situation act. But we can move from reactive management to predictive and proactive management, where with the use of AI, we can continuously monitor, analyze, and adapt our project plans. AI algorithms enhance the ability to anticipate issues, to provide real-time progresses, bottlenecks, and resource allocation. And very, very, very important, very notable is the support on data decision support. Crunching, elaborating a large amount of data can makes we able to achieve good information on which we can base our decisions. And then support for cost estimation, resource planning, and prioritization that makes project management processes more accurate and flexible. Another important aspect is even the seamless integration of data, analysis, and automations, because AI tools can integrate data from multiple sources, and now we can generate a much larger amount of data than ever with enterprise resource planning systems, with customer relationship management platforms, and project management tools. And using all this data from multiple sources, we can provide a comprehensive real-time view of the project status and on the trend the project is going to follow. Processes such as reporting, resource forecasting, and performance tracking are automated, improving analysis accuracy and reduces manual workload. And maybe the most important promises from AI to free time for us to focus on strategic decision and high value action, automating repetitive tasks. A chatbot assistant, a project management virtual assistant, can make actions. I can delegate them some repetitive tasks, some repetitive actions, in order to focus on the high value aspects of the project. And just to see a rapid overview on the evolution of project management in the AI era, this is a simplified view of the timeline of the impact of technologies on project management, starting from the very beginning of project management as discipline itself, at the beginning of the 20th century. The gray zone on left is the zone of classical and deterministic project management, where the technologies involved were essentially pen and paper, okay, without digital platforms, without specialized software in order to support us in project management. Then we can move to the pink zone. The pink zone in the 80s. We saw the birth of software, specialized software designed to support the project manager in their activities. So the first version of Microsoft Project for DOS in 1984, and the Windows version of Project in 1990. Microsoft Project was probably the most iconic support software. Now we have on the market a plethora of tools and platforms, but Microsoft Project was for a very long time the reference of the support software for project managers. Then, with the beginning of the new century, we saw the web arising and the real-time collaboration. So now all the project management software supports are digital platforms which offers essentially sharing and collaborative features. Because the vision in which only the project manager is the only responsible of managing a project is surpassing. A project is a teamwork. So we need a digital platform which allows us to share documents, informations, plans, and to collaborate together. And then we have the blue age, okay, the last on right of this figure, the blue age of big data and AI. And an important year was the 2022 with the release of ChatGPT, the public release of ChatGPT, which really was and is a game changer, not only for project management, but even for a wide variety of work domains. But when we talk about large language models, we are referring to a specific branch of artificial intelligence. You know, artificial intelligence studies whether and how complex mental processes can be replicated by machines. Inside artificial intelligence, we have machine learning, which is a specific branch of AI, focused on algorithms and techniques which automate learning through computational statistics without the need for explicit instructions. Inside machine learning, we have deep learning. Deep learning, the father of deep learning was Geoffrey Hinton, which is the Nobel Prize, the last Nobel Prize of physics, as you probably know. Deep learning is a type of machine learning consisting of a class of machine learning algorithms that use multiple layers to progressively extract higher level features from original input, original data, through the processing of multi-layer neural networks. Neural networks was known since decades, but they had a renaissance recently with the availability of large amount of data. Inside deep learning, we have a large language model. Large language models is a type of deep learning application and solution specifically used to process and understand human language. And on the base, on top of large language model, we have generative AI. So application and solutions of artificial intelligence capable of creating, in response to specific requests, various types of content such as text, images, audio, video, encoded from input data. So a project manager, well, we had to see artificial intelligence not in terms of project manager substitution, but in terms of project manager augmentation. The project manager is really augmented with AI tools. And she becomes an orchestrator of an intelligent project management system. And AI becomes a truly co-pilot for the project manager, providing quick and accurate insights, providing information to improve decision-making, and boosting team productivity. So the project manager can focus himself on leadership, stakeholder management, and strategic vision. But we will see in a few minutes with Massimo that even stakeholder management can be partially delegated or supported by artificial intelligence. But this kind of transformation, of course, requests some new skills. Ethical AI, change management, data literacy. So the project manager has to evolve himself in order to better use this kind of tools. Here are some benefits of AI integration in projects with some number and statistics. In terms of productivity, companies that invest in AI report an average productivity improvement of 15%. 15% in productivity. And additionally, 58% of project managers say that AI had a positive impact on project quality and on the quality of the deliverables of the project. Another class of benefit of AI integration is the accuracy of estimates and forecasts. This is quite obvious. The possibility to crunch, to elaborate a large amount of data, of big data, gives us the possibility to make estimates and forecasts with a higher level of quality. But we could see reduction in delivery times. Companies that use AI report a significant improvement in on-time project delivery, which is a really big issue, with 61% of projects completed on time compared to 47% of companies that do not use AI. So an increase of 40%. And this is thanks to the automation of repetitive tasks. So a lot of tasks a lot of tasks can be automated, and so we have cutting. We can cut the duration of large amount of tasks, and so increase the probability to finish in time. And finally, we have stakeholder satisfaction, because AI helps improve stakeholder satisfaction through a lot of elements, through efficient project management, increasing accuracy in forecast and estimations, resulting in greater reliability and higher quality of delivered projects. But I don't want to anticipate nothing at all about this topic, because we will explore this topic further soon with Massimo. Another benefit of AI integration is cost optimization. Cost optimization, the companies that adopt AI-based tools report that 69% of their projects achieve 95% of more of the expected business benefits. And this is really an impressive result, an impressive outcome, in my opinion, compared to 53% of companies that do not use AI. And now, in order to complete our first overview of using AI tools and technologies in project management, just a few practical strategies for adopting artificial intelligence and, in particular, large language models in project processes. Yes, I said processes because, you know, in project management recently, we have a huge debate if project management can be considered and should be considered process-oriented or principle-oriented, as stated by the PMBOK 7th edition, or practice-oriented, as stated by the ISO norm. But the concept of process inside project management is still a very powerful one. And in effect, when we manage a project, we execute processes. So just a few examples of how AI tools and large language model can be very useful in executing project management processes. Based on our book, we conduct a small experiment. We used a custom GPT model called Modern Project Manager, a sort of virtual assistant trained on our book, the book that I and Massimo wrote in 2022. In order to have a virtual assistant expert, more or less, of the matter. And all the requests, all the questions, all the interrogation we made to the system, we made to this system. For example, how can be the support of a large language model, of a specialized chatbot, specialized virtual assistant in developing a project charter? As you know, the project charter is the first formal document of a project, is the document that starts formally a project. And what is the input to develop a good project charter? Is the business case, the business ideas. So you can see here the description of the short description of a specific business case, which is a commercial building in the outskirts of Rome that has to be renovated to comply with the latest construction regulations and to meet a lot of business needs. And this is the description of the business idea with some general data. We have a budget of 10 million euros. The timeline is not exceeding 24 months, so 2 years. And the request is, please generate a project charter and include an initial plan for design renovation and regulatory compliance verification. This is not a real business case, because business case is not 8 or 10 rows of text, but is just to depict you the possibility we have. And this is the result. The result is a project charter which is already structured in several sections, which were not specified in advance. So this is the project charter based on a generic structure generated by our modern project manager chatbot. Is in Italian, but is quite readable. The title of the project, starting date of the project, the sponsor of the project manager, which is unknown still, the project team, how many people for the project team, the objectives and goals of the project, the description of the projects, the main deliverables of the projects, budget, duration, main stakeholders, and main risks. So even a first risks identification and analysis. Of course, this is not a final charter, but for sure is a very good starting point in order to further develop. But don't, well, we have to remember that we started from this, not a real business case, not a real document, but just a brief note. And this is the plan, the initial work plan generated by the assistant from that business case. So 4 phases. A first phase of initiating and design, a second phase of work and compliance to the norms, third phase of verifying and certification, and a final phase of delivery and project closing. And this is a first example. But we made other ones. For example, how to control scope, how to control the scope of the work in a project using artificial intelligence. And this is a situation where the customer, our customer, asks us for further features of a software app we are developing for them. We have an initial budget by 50,000 euros, and the clients at a specific point ask us for further features, additional features that have a cost by 30,000 euros. So this is a situation of scope creep in some words, and we ask the assistant to generate a requirements traceability matrix in order to map all the requests of the clients, of the customer, of the new requests in tabular formats, and we ask for helping to manage scope creep and communication with the client. And this is the result. This is the matrix, the requirements traceability matrix, which was generated with the requirements, impact on duration, on cost, and some kind of notes. And this is the communication which the assistant chatbot suggested to us in order to communicate to the client the possibility to a gradual implementation, to a review of requirements, because the increased of the budget was very high, was very strong, and possibly a budget revision, and then solution to avoid scope creep. Even in this case, the result is quite useful, of course. This is not the final outcome. This is not a result that I can take and and pass to my client or customer, but it is for sure a good starting point, which I could develop in more detail. And finally, another kind of application in monitoring and controlling. So the application of earned value method using a large language model. As you see, we prepared in advance an Excel spreadsheet with the data, with the planned value data, the earned value data, and the actual cost data of a hypothetical project with a WBS, with a two-level WBS. And we asked to make an analysis, a complete earned value analysis of the project based on this data. These data are at the end of the 7th week for a project which has a duration of 12 weeks. And this is the result with a specific module, because ChatGPT has several plugins and modules in order to generate charts and to analyze data. And these are the S-curve of planned value, actual cost, and earned value, with the calculation of the performance index of the earned value method, cost performance index and schedule performance index for every week of the project. And this is the calculation with some useful suggestions about the more critical tasks, the more critical activities inside the project. So, for instance, the model tells us that the activity with the WBS code 1.5 has an SPI, a schedule performance index, of 0.41, very low, and a cost performance index of 0.60. And rightly, this is the most critical activity inside the project at the end of the 7th week. And this is the final report. We asked for a complete status progress report, and this is the report with the S-curve and a short list of critical activities on which we could intervene in order to fix problems, and the possible action, the possible control action on critical activities. But we also have experimented the use of the chatbot assistant in analyzing stakeholders, for example, by providing the AI with a stakeholder register and ask for a power interest matrix analysis to enrich the register with additional information, to develop a scheduling model. ChatGPT is able to develop, to generate a chart, a Gantt chart, a scheduling model for your project. Generate user stories in agile context based on the description of a product and the project itself, and generate the contents of a risk register starting from a SWOT analysis, strong weaknesses, opportunity and threat analysis, from which derive a risk register. And we could have a lot of other ideas. This is just an initial overview of the landscape of possible application of large language models in executing project management processes. And now I hand it over to my friend Massimo in order to talk about the improvement of stakeholder relationship and satisfaction. Massimo, can I maintain the control of slide, or do you prefer that I
No,
stop?
maybe it's better you leave me. Okay.
Okay, I will follow your speech. Okay.
So now we talk a bit about people. One of the main topics is the improvement of stakeholder relationships and satisfaction. In general, we have some major impacts on the stakeholder dynamics. For instance, the redefinition of traditional roles and responsibilities. We have the possibilities of analyzing large amounts of data. We can automate routine tasks. So have also an additional better support to the decision. We have change in power dynamics. We say data is currency. Once we were used to say information is power, okay? Now we have not only information, but the possibility of analyzing large amounts of information. So even more the information is power than before. We have improvement in communication collaboration, of course, also introduced with the introduction of chatbots, virtual assistants, but in general also because we can have real-time updates and feedbacks, okay? One interesting phenomenon that is happening today is that stakeholder expectations are increasing. While we discuss if something is applicable or not, no, it is fair or not to apply AI to stakeholder management, the stakeholders say, we don't care of that, mainly, meaning that, okay, we are very happy that you save cost, you save money, you do other things, but in this case, they would like to participate in our relation. So stakeholders are asking more accuracy and precision of metrics, faster response times, more personalization, more predictive insights, and also, of course, a continuous improvement. We have in general improvement that regards also the aspects of data mining and data analysis. We can process large amounts of both structured and unstructured data. No? Just to give a very simple example, no? We can make reports not only based on previous reports, but based on previous reports, mails, and other formats. AI can help us in producing one format output with several formats in input. Also, images, ChatGPT, for instance, processes very well images. Stakeholder network analysis also, because we can map a complex relationship. In general, we can follow stakeholder dynamics better. We can make sentiment analysis. I am, of course, a passionate of perceived value. Well, AI can help us to understand what are the sentiment of stakeholders towards our project, for instance, in a certain moment, and also maybe preventing some potential issues. We can also, based on the history, okay, of previous behaviors, for instance, try to predict the stakeholder behavior. We have better personalization in terms of personalized communication. Optical timing, this is quite interesting. We know that the time that stakeholders are available to give us is proportional to their need, not to our need. No? So it's a bit asynchronous normally with our need. We ask for information, no? Or we want to give information in moment in which the stakeholder is not exactly available. No? So she can refuse them, or in any case, doesn't give the proper attention. Okay, we can use AI for optical timing. And also for channel optimization, content personalization, and the possibility of realizing virtual assistants or chatbots. No? We have also very interesting no-code possibilities. That is, we don't need programmers, okay, to do to realize them, but just drag and drop approaches. This can let us give an assistance 24 hours per day and so on. There is an improvement in decision-making process because we have, as we said, we can analyze large amounts of data, also based on diverse criteria. We have the possibility of a scenario modeling, and this is quite interesting because, and maybe is an open issue today. We have to work still a lot on it. And we have more traditional aspects, and the risk assessment, optimization of resource allocation, and also the management of conflicts. In terms of monitoring and analysis, we have the possibility of real-time monitoring. And also this allows us to enhance the use of KPIs. Today, we can use just a limited number of KPIs because we don't have the possibility to handle a large number of KPIs. No? Normally, in most cases, we use the value, cost performance index, the performance index, and so on. No? AI gives us the possibility of including additional KPIs. And some of them, as for instance, the one related to stakeholder satisfaction or the perceived stakeholder satisfaction may be very important. We can meet predictive analysis, automated reporting, as we say, also an improvement in anomaly detection. We can have an improvement in stakeholder satisfaction, mainly because we can handle better feedbacks from various channels, as we said before. We can make sentiment analysis, also analyzing the tone of stakeholder feedbacks, and extracting we can extract recurring themes and topics and feedbacks, for instance, from the webinars or from the events, okay? In order to better focus the next time on stakeholder interests and trend analysis, and also what can be actionable insights. Well, but is generative AI or specifically a stakeholder? No, the answer, of course, is not. The stakeholders are persons or group of persons, and AI is not a person. But AI behaves like a person because it's pre-trained on that, and then we contribute to its training. And since the relationship are based on behaviors, stakeholder relationship with GenAI should be managed exactly as we do with any other stakeholder. So we have an issue of stakeholder management also with with AI. And AI stakeholders, I asked directly to more than one large language model, ChatGPT, Claude, if this denomination could be appropriate for them. They said yes, okay. And so I proceeded on that. AI stakeholders have specific characteristics, of course, are virtual, are digital, but are digital emulators or simulators of real stakeholders. So, although they are intrinsically neutral in terms of interest, no, they are pre-trained as neutral, but in the moment in which we tell them, you are my assistant, we ask them to share our interest, so they leave their neutrality and, of course, share our interest. In general, we may see AI stakeholders not as a new category, but as a new dimension, okay? Because AI can simulate or emulate diverse categories. We have four main behavioral categories of stakeholders. That is, stakeholders that behave with a common main interest, a common prevailing interest, and generally also speak a specific, let's say, organizational language. No? We can say providers, for instance, the project manager, the project team, and clients, for instance, customers, users, whatever, sponsors and investors, so from project sponsor, top management, other type of investors, and influencers, all others that in a certain way can influence. Generally, they influence the constraints of the project rather than the scope. Interesting is that GenAI can simulate all of these categories. No? We are used to see GenAI as a AI assistant, so simulating a provider. And we know that in this case, it can help us in resource management, time management, cost management, and always communication management. But we can ask it to simulate a client, no? And this can help us enormously to better assess what are user requirements, okay? Because although requirements seem objective, they are usually a mediation of diverse expectations that are absolutely subjective, not always known, okay? And AI so can assist in this, in that, and also in what is the management of feedbacks or acceptance criteria in general of success criteria, for instance. If we ask them to simulate a sponsor or an investor, they can help us with budget oversight, with increasing, let's say, this strategic alignment, and so on. When the simulated influencer, influencers are a large variety, from public administration or in general entities that provide us regulations. But let's think to this case. They can help us to ensuring regulatory compliance. We can train AI, for instance, on laws, okay? and in general to support us in that. In terms of other type of communities, as maybe local communities or opinion communities, web communities, they can help us in managing relationship with them and also in handling communication. Well, of course, this this brings to us new risks of the diverse typologies. We, from the point of view of privacy and data security, we have to set up protection of sensitive project and stakeholder data to ensure compliance with regulations, for instance, GDPR in Europe, CCPA in States, okay? Implementing anonymization and pseudonymization techniques. Think to the case, for instance, of healthcare data, no, that are of extraordinary importance from the statistical point of view, but has to be anonymized or pseudonymized. We have to manage consent and, in general, provide encryption and data in transit and in storage, ensure data protection impact assessments, and manage naturally what are the security, the vulnerabilities, and so in terms of both of incident response and of managing. AI generate biases, okay? Generate biases, and so we have to identify potential biases in the training data. We are the ones that provide training data, of course. There are techniques to reduce biases in the AI model, the biasing or introducing fairness constraints, for instance, in order to ensure a more fair result. We have to continuously monitor the AI decision to detect emerging biases, new biases, let's say. And I find this important. It is important, for instance, to build teams with diverse cultures or diverse preparations, because this reduces the risk of unintentional biases. This is if we all in the team think in the same way, let's say, no? Of course, we introduce additional intentional, unintentional biases, for instance. And making a periodic fairness evaluation and test, ensuring transparency and avoiding ethical and also legal implications. A view on hallucinations. What you see on the right is what happened when I was a bit tired in that moment, but since AI gave me a Gantt, let's say, that was an Excel table, I asked, give me a drawing, no? And the drawing was that very, very, very creative, too much creative, especially because the texts are not readable. To reduce hallucinations or their impact, it is advisable to improve the quality and the variety of training data. We have to train the system. Okay, the system is only pre-trained. ChatGPT, stands for P stands for pre-trained. Okay, we have to refine models using appropriate techniques. In general, implement hybrid human-machine models in which always the person decides. Okay, and continuously update the several models. We have to ensure transparency and accountability. Of course, with clear documentations, defining roles and responsibility, creating feedback correction mechanism. Interesting, using also explainability tools, making AI explainable, XAI. Now, how to communicate effectively with, for instance, a large language model? As Marco also was saying before, we cannot assume that large language models are logical. We have to train them on the logics. For instance, this is a quite funny case. Of course, the prompt is made in a bit confused way, no? But asking when I was 6, my sister was half of it, now I'm 70, maybe we have the question that if now I am 70, my sister is 35, okay? ChatGPT has a lot of very interesting features in terms of natural language processes, contextual text generation, possibility of being trained on large data sets, learning adaptation capabilities, handling diverse conversations, multi-turn conversation, is multilingual. We can ask personas pattern, okay, to give us specialized questions. It has limitations in deep understanding, up-to-date knowledge. Well, I asked to ChatGPT, since there is the IC model, okay, what is your main behavioral style? The answer was, I am cautious supportive, because I am precise, detail-oriented, analytical, but also helpful, patient, and cooperative. Fantastic. So, in order to communicate effectively with ChatGPT, that is, which is an AI stakeholder, it is advisable to use an appropriate style, formal, detailed, structure, logical, supportive, reassuring. Ask questions. Very important. Questions are of diverse types, okay? Closed if you want, let's say, a narrow response, open-ended or clarifying, probing, also reflective. The type of questions that we use in a human relationship to increase empathy, of course, with ChatGPT is not possible, but it helps, and employing effective communication practices. The main formulas related to prompt engineering, this is the one that the Project Management Institute proposes to us, RTF and CREATE. In general, a complete effective checklist should include a large variety of aspects. To conclude our presentation, an overview of what are the transformations of stakeholder roles and competencies and behavior due to Gen AI. In general, we have a change in communication dynamics due to improved collaboration tools, also with real-time feedbacks, an increase of stakeholder expectation, as we already said before. We have need also, in general, of a competence evolution. New skill sets are required. Basic AI literacy is becoming important for all stakeholders to use to leverage AI tools effectively. We have the possibility of automation routine tasks, and this also enables us to more high-level supporting activities. In terms of project manager, okay, 3 main topics. We have enhanced decision making due to the possibility of having AI assistant insights. And also we have the possibility of a scenario planning. This, I said, we have to work a lot of it, but is fascinating as a possibility, okay? Simulating different project scenarios, and then the actions to face them. There is a shift in leadership role from tactical to strategical, because the automation of routine project management tasks allow project manager to focus more on leadership vision, stakeholder engagement. But also there is a shift in leadership alone from the point of view of emotional intelligence and AI collaborations. Because managing AI as a tool and balancing human AI-driven insights require heightened emotional intelligence and change management skills. So, which competencies for the future in terms of project managers, AI literacies? Okay, so we have to be also more technical, no? Because to use these tools, and critical thinking and creativity, because we have more space for creativity and critical thinking. We have effects also on the project teams in terms of increased efficiency, but also in terms of shift to the job roles, because also team members may ask to shift to higher level of support, and this will require some way a sort of mindset change, okay? Also new competencies, as we said, also here, AI tool proficiency and collaboration with AI, understanding how to collaborate better with AI. The AI will enhance also the possibilities in terms of program portfolio management, because can analyze vast amount of data, and also improves the identification of risks and opportunities across multiple projects. Also, project sponsors are affected by AI. They have the possibility of a better informed decision making, that have the possibility, and they will also ask for a better decision making support. Okay. Also, in terms of financial results, in general, in terms of sponsoring organization, we will have the possibilities of a better strategic alignment, which still today is a big problem. Okay, so allocate resources more efficiently, of course, and also organizational agility. Customers and users will ask for more personalized customer experience. Will ask to go further in that. Also, they will increase, as we said, the expectations. The expectations in terms of speed and efficiency. We, on the other side, we can think that we will have a better increase, a better user engagement due to the possibility of processing feedbacks and also enhanced collaborations through the platforms and the real-time feedbacks too. Investors and other financier and so on can have improved financial forecasting, for instance, and also better decision making. Public administration can use, and I think this is very, very interesting, okay, AI to streamline project approvals, monitoring and regulatory compliance, and reducing bureaucratic delays, because AI can be trained on bureaucratic aspects, okay? On the other side, they can also use AI to improve public transparency, so improving public trust and accountability. Other type of stakeholders, as the other communities, okay, will improve their engagement, also in terms of opinion shaping, and will increase transparency and participation through an AI-driven dialogue. Okay, so as just as our last image, me and Marco, we prefer always to say not artificial intelligence. When we say artificial intelligence, a lot of people think to humanoids that are stealing our work. No, we prefer to use the expression augmented intelligence. Okay. In order to focus on the fact that is also a great possibility, of course, it introduces a risk, okay, as we said, but a great possibility to enhance our capability in managing especially complex and large projects.
Thank you so much to both of you guys. That was absolutely very interesting. And because of that, I have a lot of questions for you guys. There's plenty of them. So let me share some of them with you. The first one, I think it will be for Marco. Do you see any industry, maybe domain or processes where it will be not recommended to extensively use AI while managing a project, for example? So it could be very interesting to know what do you think about that? Thank you.
Okay, good, very, very good question. Well, we have to distinguish, in my opinion, between use AI, the use of AI in a specific industry domain, and the use of AI to support project management processes, which are all the same regardless of the domain. For example, if I use AI or Gen AI in order to generate a Gantt chart, this is quite obviously useful regardless of the specific domain to which this Gantt chart applies. So this is an important distinction. In terms of project management processes, I would say that you can use AI everything, almost everything. But if you intend, if there are specific domains or industry in which the use of AI is more difficult or critical, the answer is definitely yes. For example, for examples, you cannot use AI for automatic decision making in highly regulated industries like healthcare, pharma, defense. Of course, not using AI at all, but using AI in order to automate decision making. Because in highly regulated industries, AI systems cannot meet the standards, the rigorous standards necessary for ensuring compliance with regulations and certifications. And this is an example. But another example could be the projects with low data availability. For example, if I'm able to train an AI system with the data contained in a knowledge base of all my previous projects, probably I could obtain good outcomes. But if I have no data, or if I have little amount of data, probably the use of AI tools will be some controversial, and the output cannot be as good as expected. Or just to think aloud without more reflection, small and agile projects, for instance. because in smaller projects, in agile teams, I have to give precedence to rapid decision making using the face-to-face communication and using AI tools in this scenario. Probably we have the risk that AI can add unnecessary layers of complexity when a project might benefit more from direct human-to-human communication in this kind of small projects. These are the first use cases I can think of.
Thank you, Marco. And in the meantime, the questions are increasing. So I would say that probably we will maybe organize something and collect all the questions that you maybe can reply to them as a follow-up of our conference. But there's one question from Elizabeth. Thank you, Elizabeth, for asking these questions. That is particularly interesting. Because of the AI, we are in a very large transformation situation, you know. So Elizabeth is she's asking, projects should be able also mentioned. Sorry, projects should be also mentioned on impact and not only on the outcome. How a theory of change can be generated at the beginning of a project. I think, not because I want to step up, but I think it's absolutely incredible and interesting to understand what's the purpose of a project at the beginning and how the tool can help us to reply maybe to some risk and so on. So I think it's interesting to understand that it's not only a matter of deliverable, but also a matter of impact and understanding the purpose of a project.
Well, I believe we also said that in our speech. Of course, there is an impact not only on the deliverables, but on the way of looking at the project itself. And from that point of view, AI can help a lot. We still have the problem that on average, more than 30% of projects, okay, don't meet initial stakeholder expectations, okay? So don't meet the expectations on the basis of which they were financed, okay? This is a huge number. There are more than 10 years for that. We know also why that. We know that this is because we don't focus enough with relations with people. So we don't understand exactly what are their requirements and their expectations. Of course, I can, okay, I look at it from my, let's say, point of view, but AI can help us, for instance, to simulate, okay, clients, customers, final users, and understanding what, for instance, what for them are the critical success factors. Things that is very important and which we suffer still today. We read a paper, no, and we say, okay, project is operational. No, project is not only operation. Project is an operation means to achieve strategic goals. Okay.
Thank you, Massimo. And because of that, I have a question, maybe a provocative one, to both of you. When we decide as project managers if there's a limit or boundaries, when requirements from stakeholders are too much, because how we can control expectation without dying, make them satisfied and risking maybe the scope creep and so on. What do you think about that? Because, you know, AI maybe can help us, but maybe stakeholder has a lot of expectation through that, and maybe we are adding complexity and rigidity to our processes that they are already confused maybe or chaotic.
Okay, but let's say this is stakeholders always have diverse expectations, okay? Also, stakeholders of the same organization may have diverse expectations. So the issues are understanding these expectations, okay? Solving all the possible conflicts, especially the ones due to misunderstandings. This is valid among expectations and requirements that in somewhere are a mediation of expectations. If conflicts cannot be solved, there is only one way. I don't like the term, but this is the way: prioritize. Okay? We have to agree with the other main key stakeholder involved priorities. It's not possible to satisfy everyone.
Yes, that's true, sadly. Sadly. But I would say last question, that I think it could be very interesting for every maybe of our attendee that are related to some critical infrastructure like the banking sector or the energy utility one. And what about the security matter, the privacy matter? Because I have a very interesting question from Mario that is asking us. Projects often involve handling sensitive data or information. AI tools like ChatGPT advise against sharing such data to avoid potential leak or misuse. In your view, how should we define what counts as sensitive data? Where should the line be drawn? Thank you, Maro, for the question.
Okay, well, it's one of the main questions on the field. Sensitive data. Well, sensitive data include personal data, financial data, intellectual property, health information, confidential business information, and so on. And this includes contracts, internal communications, and so on. Well, as far as the line that should be drawn, this could be based on regulatory frameworks like GDPR, for example, like CCPA, and so on. Just in terms of compliance to norms, laws, and regulations. But from a practical point of view, I think that the starting point must be a comprehensive risk assessment at the beginning of every project, of any project. A risk assessment that should be employed to evaluate the potential impact of data exposure, okay, of any sensitive data exposure, and to classify information accordingly. So from one side, we already have regulations, standards, and norms, and we have to follow them strictly. On the other hand, because every project has its own unicity, its own context, we have to we have to assess this context from a risk point of view in order to establish what is the impact of data exposure. This in general, and of course, every project context has its own specific issues and specific considerations to make.
Okay, thank you, Marco. Let me add just one thing, because let me add a thought. I think that from a point of view, and let me know if you agree with me, Marco. Actually, AI in a company, it's not a decision that needs to be made at project level. It's something that needs to go a little bit higher in the hierarchy of the organization. I agree with you that the starting point is a framework like the GDPR in Europe or the NIS, that it's more comprehensive in my opinion, or the American one that, if I remember well, is the NIST AI Risk Management Framework or something like that, that it was recently released on their platform. But we also maybe think that it's the moment in which we have to understand what is the ownership of those measures and the use of the AI directly with the vendors. What is the, for example, the ownership of those data and the usage right, for example, or understanding if we are implementing an algorithm inside our processes using AI, what is the data retention or the deletion policies, for example, understanding how we are discovering new way of doing cybersecurity. For example, the data security directly on our database. So security measures and breach notification procedure needs to change because of the AI. And because of that, also projects need to rely and became a sort of security by, needs to be security by design. And because of the AI. Okay, so I think that we set up a transparency process about AI and what are the real expectations from an organization relatively the AI usage, I think.
Yes, of course, but when you said that the use of AI often is decided at top management level, you know, for the entire organization. Well, that's true in many situations. I think that when companies, when organizations are negotiating contracts with the AI platforms and providers, they should specifically ensure a list of things. First one, in my opinion, is clear provisions of data ownership. Data ownership is the base. So the company retains full control over its data, a company, an organization, a nation. And this is the first brick. Okay. Then the audit rights to assess how the data is processed and stored. And this is another important issues. So as you already cited, in terms of cybersecurity, data encryption standards. What are the data encryption standards which will be used both in transit of the data and at rest of the data into the repository? The incident response plan in case of data breaches. What what will happen in case of data breach. And even last but not least, detailed procedures on data deletion, data erasing once the processing ends. These are just a few of possible issues that must be considered. Okay, when you negotiate a contract with a vendor, i.e. services like ChatGPT API, because today is much simpler than yesterday to integrate AI services in your own application. It's a matter of calling an API or similar services. So these are, in my opinion, the main points. Probably is not an exhaustive list, but the starting.
No, but
May I integrate a bit just in my narrow, let's say, perspective, I have a lot of people that ask me how to improve their skills in AI. And in the large majority of cases, they do it before their organization are doing it. Okay? In order to be ready for the moment in which their organization will bring AI. So this gives us also additional problems. There are more, it's not strictly needed that an organization said, okay, we use AI. People can use AI from a personal point of view in their work, okay? This generate other type of attentions. A sort of social engineering, okay?
Yeah. I would love to add a couple of housekeeping again notes. Again, there was Elizabeth asking, because of a lot of question, maybe if you want, at the end of the day, after our roundtable that usually will end at 6:40 p.m. If you want to join us again, Marco, for covering all the questions that are remaining, and because I think that will be an interesting point of view to discuss all the elements that we are collecting during the day. Another thought, because you mentioned the auditing, Marco, and I will leave our attendees for the pause, for the lunch break. I think because of the AI, we know that auditing, it becomes, as you said, kind of important. But I recently noticed, and maybe you can confirm me, that sometimes the auditing at the highest level are sometimes a lot of paper and not the truth reality of the situation inside the company. So the implementation of an AI, it's maybe we are still at the beginning of this process of understanding the implication in an organization. So I will leave that comment like that, maybe open, and invite you again, Marco, to join us at the end of the day, because I think it will be interesting to share all of our thoughts at the end of the day, because we have time, a little bit more time to discuss it.
Well, I will try, but I want to assure my presence in the afternoon because of preceding.
No, I know very well, but I will try
if it's
to.
possible to collect all the
Yes.
questions, I will be happy
To reply to them,
together
yes.
with Massimo to produce a little report, a little list of answers to publish on your channels in
Absolutely.
order to respond.
Thank you so much. But the let me say, the setup question at the end of of the event will remain. So all the questions that I can reply to you directly, Elizabeth, I will be glad to reply it for you, and the ones related to Massimo, for sure. I'm pretty sure it will stay with us till the end. So thank you guys for joining us this morning. And for everybody is listening right now, I will put a countdown for the a video countdown for the beginning of the afternoon session. So we will be back here at 1:45. And thank you again, Massimo, and thank you again, Marco, for your precious contribution. And see you soon, Massimo, at the roundtable this afternoon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, and thank you so much.
Bye-bye.